Okay, welcome back to the It's Just Coffee podcast. And I can't even get any support over here because, everyone's just bemused by my accent. That
it's a pretty good rendition.
Whereabouts in South Africa are you from?
I'm actually from Pretoria.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and my people in Australia, we don't get a fair shake of the sauce bottom over here because,
that was a tough one.
I feel like, we bring a lot to the sporting world as well. So we got Dricus du Plessis in the UFC right now.
Dricus du Plessis.
Yeah. And we've got the Marty Springboks. Always bring it. And then, we've been dominating cricket for years. Dale Steyn, Morne Morkel, Jacques Collis. We set the standard for...
Standard. We lost on standard.
I stood there.
Well, guys, welcome back to the
It's Just Coffee podcast.
I'm Rowan Cook.
And I'm Kirk Pearson.
And welcome back to another great episode of
It's Just Coffee. Doubling up there. Okay. We're on fire today. Well, I'll let you introduce today's guest.
Oh, we got Russ. What's your last name?
Touyz.
Touyz.
I know.
That is a powerful
spelled Touyz.
It is spelled Touyz, and I'm almost convinced it is Touyz, but my granddad said it was Touyz, and we just sort of stuck with it, but I'm not convinced.
Now, you own a little old company or a big old company called Eco Barista. Sorry, Kirk, it looked like you were about to just chime in and cheer Eco Barista.
No, I was going to say, I was going to try and do Eco Barista at the same time, but I was on time delay.
You own a nice little company called
Eco Barista.
Hey, yo.
What a great company. I've used them. I've used them for, what is it, 3 years now? Been making my beautiful, iconic, revolutionary golden brown coffee bags. Kirky boy, you're on the old Eco Barista train now as well, aren't you?
We're standing on business over here. We got the samples in the middle here. We got the golden brown, one part of the Eco Barista package here, and then the strawberry cheesecake blend over there.
And we'll get into it later, but a little sizzle for later. Kirk is going through a little bit of a rebrand. We're going to blow up the coffee industry with some of the most iconic packages I think I've seen in my entire life.
Yeah, and hot tip over here, these iced coffee cups as well, Eco Barista.
Oh, yeah, they're it. Now, what I loved, we had Tim Varney on the pod last week, and one thing I loved was, listen to the pod. He was chiming in. He was asking me how the old... the weigh-in's going. He was asking me about that. He's bringing up our beef about the Italian coffee and where it's been, which I will stand by and say I love Italians. Love everything Italian, just not the espresso.
And if you weren't already aware, Russ, I'm the resident Italian on the podcast.
I've heard, I've brushed up, and I buy into it for sure.
How do I get, I need this purchase by the end of the podcast. I want to get the 23andMe or the Ancestry.com. I want to find out.
Liam, can we... All right, so we're actually going to book it. And so,
all right, I'll do a quick little review.
I don't have my card on me, but do you want to do, I hope we do this.
It'll be fine.
Okay.
I'll message
you. You know what?
Send us a receipt and do that. But one of the great things is you were just telling us you were on a flight over and you knocked off 6 It's Just Coffee pods in a row.
Yep.
How was the flight?
Look, I'm a terrible flyer, a really, really bad flyer. But that brought some serious peace of mind. I was very chill. I was immersed in your beautiful voices and incredible content, and it felt good. Look, there was a period of time when there was a severe amount of turbulence, and at this point, the pilot decided to sort of come out of the cockpit, which I found strange.
That's not a good sign.
During turbulence?
Yeah. And not for the loo or anything like that, just to chat. Again, and I didn't want to be that guy, but I sort of wanted to go over and be like, hey, mate. Sorry to interrupt. Great flight so far. Things are clearly going on in there. I reckon, maybe your mate's maybe doing something different than when you last saw him.
It's like when you're talking at the cafe and the barista's having a real big chat to you and he's got this whole line of people there waiting for coffee or waiting to order. And you're like, these guys are giving me the dirty eye. You better tend to your business there.
Oh, mate, I'm in the, when you go to the market, that's the number one place of culprits when people get to the front of the line and spend 15 minutes talking to someone as they're buying, which I love. Have the chat, but I'm like, I just need to grab a steak and I'll be on my way.
Or when you go to Loon Croissant and they think it's a microphone up there, their time to shine.
Oh, we're getting really off topic here. But can I also throw something else out that just annoys me to no end? The samples at an ice cream shop. Just order your damn ice cream and get out of the way.
Take a punt.
Just take a punt. Isn't that half the joy that you kind of get something and you go, you know what, that was a bit crap.
My wife's a culprit of this.
Yeah.
I reckon 6 tastings minimum.
In one store, one time.
Yep.
Do you
and then I feel bad, so I just order straight away.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm so sorry. She's definitely had my quota of tastings.
You know what my girlfriend does? she decides what she wants, but when the server comes over, she just has to have another review. And
double review.
She's a reviewer. She has to scan the perimeter again. I don't know why.
As a person, I'm all about efficiency. Like when I'm in a line, I'm like, I've got what I need ready. I've got my card out. I've got the thing. And whenever I go up, like buying movie tickets, buying whatever, I like I'll time myself and be like, that 20 seconds. I've got the tickets in my hand. It took 20 seconds. And then I'll time the other people in the line that are going. I'm like, 4 minutes 80, 7 minutes 20. Are you asking for a full review on every movie that's playing? Like, come on, people, let's move.
Let's go.
Cafe industry, it's the worst when you get to the front of the line and someone has decided then to look at the menu.
Oh, yeah. Oh, what do I want? Ooh, tell me about
What's
the avocado toast. So it's toast, and what do they put on it? Oh, avocados? Yum. But back to the plane. I think we can all agree that we know the planes are being flown by robots, but you want the assurance that the pilot is sitting in the chair, just for appearances even.
Oversee it. AI is great. But let's just have a look at what they're doing, you know?
But back to us, listening to the podcast. How was it? Any honest feedback, any reviews,
Favorite hot
app?
take?
Sincere, honest feedback. Big fan. Like it's what I felt like the industry needed was this kind of content. Just honest, transparent, no bullshit. Sorry, I don't know if we're allowed swearing on this, but
now.
like, just beep it. Thanks, man.
You made me feel safe.
I'm home. It felt good. It felt honest and it felt transparent. I think that's what this industry needs. I think, people often perceive the industry as very intimidating and, scared to sort of say things. I actually really liked your hot take on decaf. I'm here for it. I think decaf gets a really bad rap.
I can tell by the look on Kirk's face that he has no idea what he even said.
He's right. I forgot. But remind me.
You said decaf. There's a place for decaf.
But it gets way too much hate.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people are going that direction, and I'm actually in the process of looking for like a really good green bean for decaf so I can offer it like in the cafe.
Yeah, and I love the mid strengths, like the 50-50 split, like and people who are generally having decaf, there's a reason for it. Why would you have any judgment? It's like they're either pregnant, they're either caffeine intolerant, or they've already had enough caffeine that they can't have any more.
100%.
Like there's always a reason for it. Like, well, how can it get the hate? And again, when things stop getting hate, they evolve more, people put more time into them, and they become better. So all of these things, like we were talking about co-ferments last week and different things, every method needs time and effort put into it so that we can keep evolving.
Yeah, and actually that reminds me of your capsule hot take.
Yeah,
don't call it an espresso. That really misled us from the beginning. It made us, associate that with espresso, which it's not.
Yep.
And now it's like, well, maybe I can just enjoy it as capsule coffee. And now I've got like an open sort of blank well to sort of judge it on. And I think that's great.
Yeah, as you said, I think I said on that podcast, it's like we have like a pod machine this morning that lets you kind of change the parameters. And I was brewing stuff more in a ratio of filter coffee, and I was pouring it through a filter paper to kind of remove that crema layer. It was great.
100%.
Well, me and my people, the Italians, we don't really appreciate the conflation of things with espresso. So I appreciate you guys saying that.
Quick question on that, if we're talking about the Italian side of things here. There's no rapid fire questions today, is there, or is there?
No,
well, then let's just talk straight. Let's get straight to the point. And you always say xiaolongbao or ravioli, but do we just put it as like a stuffed kind of thing, like any form of like dumpling versus any form of stuffed?
We got to go China versus Italy. We got to.
I just say like out of all, like, I love a xiaolongbao, maybe not necessarily my favorite one of them, but okay, yeah, xiaolongbao or ravioli.
Xiaolongbao.
Yes.
Sorry, yes. I'm really sorry.
My people.
I was born in Hong Kong, Kirk.
Is that right?
No, I was. My family is South African, but I was born in Hong Kong, so I feel like it's almost right,
Yeah, no, I'll pay that. That's fair.
I'll be part of this ancestry test as well, although there shouldn't, unless I'm assuming my mum and dad all kept it pretty cool with just making me, but I don't think, but I was born in Hong Kong. Do you know what I mean? Like I doubt it's in my genes, but I was there.
So we were just explaining before the pod, I've recently gone vegetarian in the last few years. And, the thing I miss most is probably Peking duck.
Yeah. There's a place here called Old Kingdom that you do like you just order like 1 duck, 2 ducks, whatever it is. And then you get prepared. You start off with all the Peking duck pancakes. Then they do like a noodle or whatever with the duck meat. And then you get like the duck broth from the bones at the end of it. It's a whole experience. It's fantastic.
Real. Sorry, Kirk.
But back to why we're here.
Yep.
That was a great little detour. Any favorite apps? That's what I wanted to hear.
I really enjoyed Lachlan from Sonali.
Yep.
And
he was great. Great chat.
Really good.
Loved him.
I actually haven't heard the Rumble one, and I'm excited to hear when you guys talk to Tim Varney. But I think Nick Percy from Finesse was great too. You know, it's a really big company. To navigate through that space sustainably is extremely difficult. You know, based on the volume that they're producing, that is a really tough feat. And I think he's done an incredible job. And it purely comes down to his passion for it. It's not because he's ticking boxes. He composts himself. Like, that's a hard thing to do. Your house will stink. So you have to be passionate to do it. So yeah, those two apps definitely.
And you're a bloody natural, because you're just segueing me right into just saying, we're here to talk about Eco Barista, a sustainable coffee packing company. But before we jump into that, we just got to dive into the past a little bit, because I got some questions. I'm a little confused. You look at your job resume. We're talking art director, graphic designer, fashion photographer, app designer. How do you go from that and then decide, I'm going to create a sustainable coffee packing company?
All right, let's say the first thing is a little disclaimer. We'll stretch our LinkedIn a little bit, you know what I mean? But most of it is true. Let's 7 out of 10
what apps are you designing?
Yeah, exactly. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, my background is I was studying graphic design and creative advertising. That was the start. And so very, I guess, I wouldn't say I'm creative, but I really enjoyed being in the creative space.
Of course you're creative.
Yeah, I find it hard to say, but I'll speak to my therapist about that.
Everyone is creative.
It's, a creative space. Yeah, exactly. And it was great, but I think coffee pairs well with that sort of industry in the sense that there's a lot of creative process in brewing coffee. There's a lot of satisfaction in putting in the time at the beginning to achieve like a really beautiful result. So naturally, as I was sort of designing, I just grew to love coffee. So that was sort of happening simultaneously. And then I had this startup idea called the Paper Cup Project, which was I wanted to work with the local artists that I knew and help them get their artwork onto, I thought a paper cup would be a good medium for them to put their artwork on the cup. And I think it'll be a great way for them to get exposure and for people to learn about their art. And I thought we could do a bit more with that. We could have a corporate sort of social responsibility element to it. So getting big companies to associate with this project, sort of fund it ultimately. And then at the end, create a call to action. So some sort of not-for-profit to sort of pair with that, so that we've got this attention, we've gripped them. Now let's try and create some change for some sort of not-for-profit. That was this idea. And I sort of took it and ran with it. I did it with two mates, and it was...
When was this? This, I'm going to guess. Can I put a guess on the year?
Me.
I'm going to say 2010.
Nearly. 2013.
There you go.
Yeah. It was around then, and like it was really, really fun. It just didn't make any money. It was fundamentally bad at making money, which is really important for a business, which I now know.
Okay. Just taking notes. Make money.
Make money. Yeah. So that wasn't working well. And I think it was mainly to do with like, I was trying to meet with these big corporates and they were like older generation, and they would say, look, what's the ROI? And then I would sort of leave the room and just quickly Google what is ROI, and then come back and be like, oh, yeah. I don't know a Roy. But he's got nothing to do with it. It was hard to sort of show like, this is what you could invest and this is what you'll get out of it. And nothing was really sort of moving in that direction. But because I knew that if I did get a big corporate to go ahead with it, I would need to have cafes using these cups immediately, because that's the circulation I've promised. It was a bit of a chicken and egg situation. So I was meeting with a lot of cafes and being like, hey, I'm working on this cup. It's going to look like this, but would you use it? I don't tell me what you're paying for cups. I don't really want to make money on cups. I just want you to tell me what you're paying so I can just give you that, but you'll use this cup and it'll help this artist and it'll promote this not-for-profit. That was the idea. So I was meeting with a lot of cafes. And then, I guess no one was really funding it. But what was happening is I was building a lot of relationships with cafes. And then it sort of just hit that fundamentally there was an issue with cafes and coffee roasters navigating through this space sustainably. And when we were producing these cups, it was just, I guess, being a millennial, maybe, it's kind of just a thing where it's like, you just have to do things sustainable. Like if you're looking at a product to advertise on, you have to do it ideally in the most sustainable way. So I reached out to a small company at the time in Byron Bay called, it was like EPS Distribution. And that is now my business partner, Zach. And it all started from there. And he sort of helped me build this product. And then he realized that we've worked really well together. And he sort of said, let's join forces here and really help, cafes and roasters navigate through the space sustainably. And that's kind of how it's grown to now.
Oh man, what a great story. And I love that. That's kind of to all the youngins out there wanting to do it, just follow whatever that idea is that you have and that passion thing that you want to do. Because even though there were some hurdles in this, it all led you to this one place, the connections you made along the way, the connection with the cafe, meeting your business partner.
Yeah. It was amazing. A full Steve Jobs kind of moment where it's you can only join the dots backwards. Yeah. So over then, back then, if you'd asked me, I would have been I don't know what I'm doing. But looking back, I'm everything was pivotal to now.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been really, really, really fun.
So you operate in the packaging space, and I was doing a bit of research and reading some of the blogs that are on your website about this. But one area of particular fascination to me or interest is soft plastic recycling, because I think Australia rightfully have not much confidence in whether because of a program called REDcycle. Yeah. And, I kind of feel like I was fooled here because I used to have a business called Sub-Zero Coffee where we'd vacuum seal a lot of pouches, and we sell those pouches and we encourage people to go to their Coles, local Coles, which is a supermarket in Australia, and actually put them in the soft plastic recycling bin. Then we learned that really all that stuff just got taken to a warehouse and never recycled, and the company's gone bust, and it's just a hugely disastrous thing. How can we kind of have faith in that kind of stuff again? And do you guys work in that space to effectively recycle it?
We don't directly recycle it, but I think we were, one of the big stakeholders that lost a lot of confidence from the fall of REDcycle. Looking back at it, I can sort of shed light as to why I think it fell. I think it started off with honest intentions. Fair enough. There was waste and there needed to be a place to recycle it. And they were probably creating playgrounds, roads, park benches like they said that they were. And I think the moment they started turning their attention to, okay, how can we get brands to sort of pay to be a REDcycle partner, and the sheer volume that came with that, maybe they lost sight as to what they were doing. And I know for a fact to become a REDcycle partner, there was no audit in your recipe, you call it, for making the bags. They weren't really checking or testing anything. They were telling you how to make the bag. Whether or not you did that was never really audited. And what was left is they were collecting a lot, and it was a lot of low value material. And Nick touched on it really well, is we want to try and create high value material, and that's what's ultimately going to build that circularity.
And just high value, does that just mean ones that are more easily recyclable?
Yeah, it means something they can actually do something with. It's what we need to collect it, but we need to be able to do something with it. And if we can't do it, we have got very limited options to do something with this collected material, then it becomes low value. So making it high value is ultimately what the focus is now going to be. So I don't think soft plastic is down and out. I think roasters who are using soft plastic right now shouldn't be hiding or ashamed in any way. REDcycle definitely led us astray with how it fell. But I think there's going to be a lot of, I know there's a lot of focus and a lot of federal intervention now to build packaging that is made with a very, very rigid sort of recipe, call it, of how you can make your packaging. And what will happen is if we can start there, when we build the collection process back up, it'll be high value material. And now we're back, now we're cooking with salt.
What can some of those things be used to make? Just made into bags again? Or?
Yeah, so thank you for asking that question. You've led me into this, but the big call out that they want everyone to use, which we're doing now, and Pablo and Rusty's are about to sort of launch it, is making this bag with obviously this really sort of one grade of plastic, but also using PCR, which is post-consumer recycled material. So that's recycled material put back into the bags. It's not necessarily saying we've collected bags and made more bags, but it's saying it's been collected, it's been recycled, and now it's been put back in. And the less virgin material in production is a huge, huge bonus in terms of how we can reduce our footprint on packaging production.
So what's the percentage of that? If you know, because it's is it going to be one of those things where it's free range eggs, but a free range egg is just a chicken that's allowed out of its cage, or is it?
These are the questions that you should be asking for sure. You shouldn't be scared to ask these questions. Right now, the testing that we've done with Pablo and other roasters is we felt that 30% had no negative impact on the strength of the bag, the coffee sort of taste profile over a long period of time. So right now, 30%. But the more push we do for this kind of material structure, the more suppliers will be like, okay, let's see if we can push to 40%. Let's go to 50%. Let's go harder. So it's about starting here and then go, okay, every year, let's see if we can get more. What are we losing? Like, let's adjust. That's what's exciting about the industry.
You need the bag that disintegrates at the same rate of your coffee going bad. So when it's like, by the time your bag falls apart and just starts spilling coffee beans, the beans are bad anyway.
You need to be drinking your coffee by then.
Yeah.
Exactly. God, that'd be amazing.
So listeners to this podcast in the last couple of months have been treated to podcasts with Nick Percy. Today we released the one with Rumble Coffee, and basically that goes through. So they're pretty drilled on what B Corp certification is. So I imagine it's probably hard for a business like yours, or perhaps it's not. You can elaborate on that. But what's it like getting a B Corp certification as a, do I say plastic, or is it like, are you a mixed thing? What would you consider yourselves?
It's a good question. It's a hard thing to label. I would say that we are the gap between a cafe and a coffee roaster and a drinker in terms of how we can help cafes and coffee roasters deliver their product in the most sustainable way. The products that we've got on the market at the moment are predominantly, compostable cups and, soft plastic or compostable coffee bags. But we sort of want to be that gap. We want to be purpose-driven rather than product-driven. So looking at reusable things in the future and how that works in roasters operations, that's very important to us. Being B Corp is extremely important. And I want to say that I don't think it's about the logo. I think it's one of those things where it's more about the journey than the destination. It is one of those really... It's hard because you see all these other like logos that you just want to put on your packaging, but B Corp was one of those ones where it honestly felt like a uni degree. Like it was intense, the amount of time you needed to spend on it. And what it does naturally is it forces you to look within. It's like looking at all of the aspects of your business and going, okay, well, this is how we're scoring now. What are small changes that we can make to do things better? And I think that's incredible. So I'm not saying we should be like, oh yeah, Eco Barista, certified B Corp. Yeah, that is cool. Great. But the main thing is like, okay, well, that was our score this year. What are we going to do next year to do better? And then I think that's what's really exciting about B Corp.
Well, it's hard to hold that mirror up to yourself if no one's asking you to. But when you kind of like look into it to want to do it, what a great way to be like, oh yeah, crap, we could be doing that better. I've never even thought about that side of the business and how we do it.
100%. It's like, that's what I thought is the most amazing thing about B Corp. And I don't think like there's any other certification like that, is it makes you do it. It's not like someone comes in and just looks around your offices and asks you all these questions. You've got to do it. It's a self-directed project, and then they'll assess your scores and give you, provide proof on those hard-hitting questions, and then give you your...
Seems like it's got a lot of integrity.
Exactly. And there's a lot of certifications out there that are less. I don't think they have that sort of level of integrity. B Corp is one that I have quite high up on my list.
Yeah, well, I know you're saying that you're not just popping it on the bag or whatever, just as a badge of honor, but it is one of the ones where, as a lazy consumer myself, it is one of the ones that I look at and feel a certain level of trust to and go like, oh yeah, I trust in that. Whereas, we're talking about some other kind of brands where you see it and you're like, well, is that really helping or not sure? I do look at B Corp and go like, I have a certain level of trust in brands that have that badge.
Sure, and think about it. I mean, yes, we supply white bags, but we wouldn't put the B Corp logo on that. So it's not really about the logo for us. It's about...
Why do you have it tattooed on your forehead then?
Well, it looks good, no?
Yeah, it does. It looks great. I was just curious.
Can we get this edited and just put the B Corp right here for the whole pod?
Yeah, just following the whole time. We had what was it, like dinosaurs in someone's head the other week.
Yeah.
So giving people a bit of background, like I know obviously people might know the bags, look at them there, beautiful bags, but what else are you offering as your product range? What is being made? What are you excited about? I know this little dingleberry over here who is just playing with his, just looking good, stroking the mow as we chat. You're getting a whole range of stuff kind of done, aren't you? What's on offer?
Yeah, well, my business partner Johan and I are in the process of sort of rebranding our stuff, and we'll be working pretty closely with Russ on sort of achieving the goals. So, I mean, I don't know what I can get from you in terms of, but like we're probably going to have a bit of a brief that we give to you. So how's that going to work? I mean, this is the first time asking on behalf of myself or Johan. So like, we're going to kind of come to you with like what we want in terms of a design.
Perfect.
And then you build it.
You've literally said how our product works. Like we don't start with like conform to us, we conform to you. So like every roaster is different. Every operationally is, there might be similarities, but they're different. Fundamentally, they're different. They've got different goals. Like your ethos of doing more with less, like that's an incredible thing that we can take to your packaging now that we know that. Like, so it starts by me saying to you, what do you want? What's the story about Project Zero? Okay, like these are things that, I can suggest, but it's still a very much an open conversation. And we just keep things moving along that way until you feel like, yep, that embodies Project Zero the best.
Well, this is very reassuring because, I'm sitting here thinking, wondering, oh, am I going to be a bit of a tough client? Or, is he going to be able to do that? I hope I don't say it on the pod and that it can't come true. But this reassures me. I feel good.
Push us. Like this, the whole, it sounds so silly, but like, we were the first to do this removable valve because we were like, well, we now need to have a detachable valve, right? Like it needs to be an option for certain recyclers. Okay. So we went and built operations around getting the bags made and then sent to another place to have a removable valve put in. This is what we do. We take the feedback from roasters and we go, we need to build this product. They are the ones that are showcasing the coffee. This is what we promised to deliver. So let's make it.
And that's definitely a sign. That's definitely a sign of like doing something that is for the ease of use, because you don't need to put that in there. You can sell those bags and be like, cut out the valve and then put it into the recycling, right? Like you can just say that, but you're like, a lot of people aren't going to do that. So we'll make an easier option where people don't have the hesitation. They can be like, yeah, I can just yank that off and get rid of it.
Exactly. It's building for purpose, and that's sort of like built within us.
And I didn't get the answer, I don't think, before. What do you make? What's the range? Just a quick shoot down.
So predominantly compostable cups is the one side, and then compostable coffee bags or soft plastic sort of coffee bags. But even just the coffee bag space, I wouldn't even start it with a material. I would just say coffee bags because we can pretty much make it out of anything. It just needs, the shelf life. Look, we can try it. Old age sheets. Maybe some of your Italian hookups. We can get like a really old. Yeah, that'd be
beautiful.
I'll ask one of my uncles.
Yeah, like that. Predominantly, it is cups and bags. But I think the future now is we're looking at the reusable space and not doing it in a way that just shoves it down people's throats. I think looking at it as looking at roasters' operations and being like, okay. How can we build something that is helpful into their ecosystem of how they're delivering coffee? Because of course, everyone wants to deliver coffee in tubs, and a lot of roasters are delivering them in lots of 1 kilo bags. Not because they hate the world, but because operationally that is the only way that is financially sustainable for them, or because their wholesale accounts have said to them, hey guys, we didn't like the tubs, or we can't guarantee they're not going to be turned into a bin or a basketball hoop out the back. Like there's a lot of things that need to be thought out. So building into the reusable space, but not just throwing product, but actually looking at what roasters really want.
And sorry if this is a question coming in later, but the compostable versus the recyclable.
It's a great question. For cups or for bags?
For bags.
Okay, so bags, I think it's a great question, and I'll try not sound like a politician here. It really just depends on your council, where you are.
Pick a side. No, okay.
Look, if I started a roastery tomorrow, which I won't, but if I did, I think the most important thing is your coffee quality, like, and your interaction with your customers, because at the end of the day, you want repeat business. Like that's fundamentally the most important thing. So I'm going to be choosing packaging probably like this to start off with, for sure, because I'm like, I need to make sure that I've put this effort in sourcing the coffee, the green, I've roasted it with such care. I really want to make sure that when I've cupped it, my customer cups it or has a similar experience. Like that's fundamentally important to me. But if I'm in a council where they're like, we accept home compostable packaging, and my customers are happy to pay, I guess, maybe call it 50 cents extra per bag, for coffee, and they're willing to help absorb that change. I'm making that change because it's something to do. So I don't think there's a one size fits all, and I definitely don't think there's a silver bullet in the industry for packaging. But I think it all just depends on your roastery, your community, and how your customers sort of interact with your coffee.
Well, just on that, you work with a lot of Australia's biggest specialty coffee roasting brands, and Rowan's throwing up the signs over here.
What can I say?
So I guess, just following on from that question, how do you how do you play that game with them, and how do you interact with them and help them deliver on their own sort of goals? Because coffee is one of those industries like we're kind of like, in terms of contributing to climate change, I don't know as a percentage how much we contribute, but it's kind of self-sustaining if we do make the best effort to improve the environment, right?
100%. So a lot of the times the conversation will start with, we want our bags to be this, like end of life. We want them to be compostable. We want them to be home compostable. So we know, okay, well, we need to help them give them answers based on that requirement. Other times, if they come to us and say, hey, we just want to be a little bit more sustainable, that, again, for us is another opportunity to be like, okay, let's make small changes that we can do each year. Every time you're considering to do a production run on packaging, what small decisions can we make? So that might look like just some ideas off the cuff. Do you need a valve on all of your bags? Like, are you doing a very light roast? Is it being consumed very quickly? We put the valve on after the bag's made. That's a bit of material that may not necessarily need to be there. Like, that's already a footprint that we can sort of lessen straight away. Is there a lot of
the valve on a coffee bag, you don't even need it necessarily.
I was going to save it for the hot take, but we'll jump on it now.
Yeah.
Hot take. You do not need coffee valves on coffee bags for most coffee.
What do you mean?
Well, explain.
Okay, the bags will puff. Yes, after you roast coffee, it will release gas, and if there's no one-way valve, the bags will puff up. But can we just change the perception of a bag puffing up to being a good thing, because it means the packaging is doing what you would want it to do, which is to keep the coffee fresh. If it's a dark Kirk Italian roast, put a valve on. Sure, we don't want no exploding balloons here, but I'm just saying, Australia, leading coffee. There's a lot of light roasts going around. I would question putting valves on those bags.
But could that almost be a sign of like quality if you're in a supermarket? It's like, if the bag's puffing, I'm chuffing. I don't know what that means. But
trademark it.
But like if you saw it, you go in the shop, it's like, hey, if the bag's deflated, I don't want it. If the bag's puffed up, we're good to go.
We're probably going to touch on the whole consumer behavior thing. Like, you'll definitely see someone going through, and I've done it. I'm not going to say it's criminal, but like, you get someone picking up a bag off a shelf and they'll squeeze it and go, yep, that's good coffee. They've smelt the coffee.
They're the experts.
I've done the sniff test, right? Like, but really, I think the roasters maybe should use that as an opportunity. Like, look, we've got rid of the valve, but when you're choosing coffee, look at the roast date, look at the varietal. Do these things appeal to you? Because that's kind of where you should be making your call. Like, when you pick wine at a bottle, like, you're obviously not doing a little lick test or whatever. Like, you just speak
for yourself.
But like that, you choose your wine based on maybe the variety of the grape, where it was, the vineyards and maybe that winery that you know well. Like, that's, I think, the way we should treat coffee.
Rowan goes to the ice cream shop and gets 6 different samples. That's how he chooses.
New business idea: scented wine labels. Speak to what the flavor profiles are of the wine.
Wow. The old scratch.
I mean, all you can do.
The old scratch and sniff. Yeah.
Do it for coffee.
Let's start a coffee called Huff and Puff.
Oh, Jigglypuff.
Oh, Jigglypuff.
Puff and stuff.
Did we just get a Pokemon reference in here?
Yeah, we did.
There you go. There's a handshake between.
I was gonna say about your plane thing. My number one plane activity is playing Pokemon on the plane. So you get your Nintendo Switch.
Baby.
It's almost like a leisure activity.
Yeah, it's unreal.
All right, let's get back to the soft plastic recycling.
Yeah.
So if someone would like to be able to do it, and I recently learned that Rowan and Sonam do this with Golden Brown. So there's a program in Victoria, or there's a business called Reground, and they have like a soft plastic recycling program where they'll pick up your bags, so customers can return the bags to, roaster like you or Rumble, whatever, and then recycle it. So is that's how it works?
Yep. Reground, you're blessed to be in Victoria with Reground. I wish every state had a Reground, and I hope they grow to that state one time. But yeah, Reground's incredible, and they've got a soft plastics guide. So I'm pretty sure if you email them and inquire, they'll send out I guess questions to ask your packaging supplier, like are the bags we order from you made of this material and these percentages? Yes, they are. Cool. We can be part of the Reground the program. I think they'll be a better person to answer the question, but for sure, Reground have a soft plastic collection.
I feel like Reground, if they play their cards right the next 10 years, they are going to boom, because we've spoken about, or we're talking about this in the podcast, but we recently had in the coffee news section that there was a program at RMIT where people are using coffee grounds to recycle, to make better quality concrete. So Reground, I don't know, play your cards right. It could be.
Yeah, put your money on Reground for sure. And it's also one of those organizations where it's built on integrity. Like, they aren't there just saying,
well, they're not for profit, right?
Yeah, but like I'm saying, like, when you speak to them, you feel blown away by the passion in the conversations. It's not just like, this is my job description, this is what I need to do today. It lives with them. Like,
well, then we need to speak to them, because
we
not
do.
only do they sound like they're great people, they listen to the pod.
Yeah, we have recently been contacted by Reground, haven't we?
So hello, Reground.
But what I mean, this maybe this is a bit spicy of me to say, but I hope the payment structure for them kind of reverses in a way, because right now, and don't get me wrong, they're doing a great thing, and I'm not putting shots at it anyway. But right now, cafe or roaster will pay them to come and collect their goods, right? I hope it gets to a level where they get so much and they're commercializing it so well that essentially they go to a cafe and pick up the grounds for free and then on sell to one of these concrete manufacturers.
Oh, next level. Pay me to take my coffee.
Oh, yeah. but if that happened, like there is unlimited.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot we were talking about concrete coffee. That's amazing.
There's just so much coffee there. And I'm sure it can be used for some sort of biofuel as well.
That's honestly probably the biggest headache, not just for Reground, but across the industry, where it's like, I guess cafe owners will be like, well, why is the onus on me to pay for a collection process on this waste? Like, surely, if you're paying rates to, it should be included within that. Like, shouldn't the attention be on the council? Because you're trying to do things honestly by buying like packaging that's more expensive than, non-sustainable packaging. You've already made that effort. You can't really increase your coffee prices. I know that's a whole nother conversation, but it's hard to increase coffee prices without feedback or kickback rather. So to pay extra for a collection, it's really, really tough. And a lot of cafes will argue, it's like, well, hang on, if it's a takeaway, they're taking it away from the venue. So me having the bin on site should they really be having a takeaway cup in a dine-in, setting? That's a whole situation, right? So it is really tough. And I do hope that Reground get, serious backing from the government level. And I know just by you working with APCO closely that federal government is getting very involved into it now, that they're going to get to a point where they're going to incentivize you to use sustainable packaging, in the sense that they'll almost tax you for using like crappy packaging, essentially.
Oh, cool.
So you'll be able to sort of, I guess, save that money by being sustainable. And I think that's the really exciting direction.
Yeah. Also, what did you say just before? You said, surely that can be turned into biofuel. Is that what you said?
I think so.
I think I'm just going to use that for anything now. I love that. Surely that can be turned into biofuel.
Well, I'm pretty sure it can. There's been programs where they've like made fuel out of it that can power cars. So,
hey, Rowan, you're going to finish that chicken soup? Nah. Surely that can be made into biofuel. I just love it as a statement. It sounded great.
Great slogan.
You're going to pick that wrapper up? Yeah, it's biofuel.
I don't know. Surely it's biofuel. So, Australia, one of the biggest takeaway coffee markets in the world. The takeaway cup, contentious in there. Does it stick around? Does it get banned? Is there this sustainable option that we're all looking for? What do you see for the future of takeaway cups?
Yeah, banning takeaway cups is hot on everyone's lips at the moment. This is my opinion on it. I don't think paper cups are being banned. I think if we did that, if we went down that pathway, the thought process for a consumer will be, I can't get a takeaway coffee, therefore I'll bring my reusable cup. I think their takeaway will be, I'm not going to buy coffee. And I think that's crippling for the coffee industry in Australia. So I think what will happen in an aggressive way will be how we make our single-use packaging and complying with the appropriate materials that have appropriate end of life. That's, at the moment, it's still a bit grey, but I think that's where we're heading. And I think that will be the solution, because we should be so proud of the Australian coffee and the caliber that we've got, that to sort of say, I'm not going to get a coffee, that makes me like incredibly sad.
Yeah, and it needs to be that level of like, where can we find the balance and that kind of thing, right? Like, I know for me personally, when I worked 9 to 5, I would take my reusable cup like with me a lot, and I'd be like, great, I'm walking to work, I will take my cup and I will do it. Now I drink coffee at work, and then I'm out on the weekends getting coffee, but I never plan to go and get the coffee. I'm just out and I'm like, time to go get a coffee on my like stroll around the park or whatever.
100%. Reusable cups work well, assuming you reuse. And I know that sounds obvious, but it is tough because we are creatures of habits, right? Like, and operationally, for cafes, it is, when you've got like, if you're holding yourself to a standard for wait time, an average wait time for a coffee, and you've got a barista that's just pulling shots, and you've got a barista that's just steaming milk, and you've got someone that's literally just calling out names, and you've got someone that's just on point of sale, right? That's their dedicated jobs. For someone to break this well-oiled machine, to go take the cup, to go clean it, or something, or some sort of break-in process, and the wait time grows, and then you sort of lose that sort of expectation or that experience from customers. It is hard. I'm not saying it's terrible. I'm just saying cafes really want to optimize their production of coffee, especially when they're paying extreme amounts for rent in the city, right? Like, you have to be looking at every minute as an opportunity, right? So yeah, reusable cups are great. I think dine-in coffee is the most sustainable. My thoughts around that are, if you can dine in, do it. Like, just treat yourself, use it as a mindful opportunity to sit and enjoy a coffee the same way I did strawberry cheesecake flat white at Project
Oh,
Zero.
yeah.
Oh, wait, from where?
Project Zero.
Oh, Project Zero. Where's that?
140 King Street, Melbourne.
Sensational. And if you want to say it 3 times so they remember it, it's just
Project Zero.
Project Zero.
Yeah.
So dine-in is key, but I just think we need to just realize that like it comes with a cost, reusable as well. It's not saying it's not perfect, but I'm just saying we need to think about it from an operator's perspective as well.
One thing I've actually got, this is like totally not relevant to what we were talking about, but it came up talking about reusable cups, is that I want to build a cafe in the future where there's like a reusable cup cleaner. So like every time the just gets like water and like, you know, non-harmful chemicals or something straight into it.
I thought that was genius when you guys put that in the pod, like having a wash station. I think that's genius. Another thing that a little hot tip is cafes should really look to not putting a takeaway lid on their takeaway cups and just providing a lid station. You'll find that you won't get a 1-to-1 of cups to lid, and that's a significant drop for a small change. Just to put the onus on, hey guys, the lids are over there, because they might not need it.
And I'm like, I would, to be honest, or even if the barista asked me, do you want a lid? Most of the time I'd probably be like, not really.
Yeah. A lot of the times, like they give me a carry tray because I've ordered like 3 coffees, and I'm like, no, I'll risk it. I'll carry 3.
There's only 2 venues I know of that do that in Melbourne. That's Market Lane and Shortstop Donuts. I love Shortstop Donuts.
Oh, you love a Shortstop Donut?
Some people call me the Donut King. Yeah, I crushed a maple walnut and brown butter. No worries at all.
As I'm on the kindness train for you at the moment, I will say, you're the Donut King.
I am the Donut King.
You are 100%, and I've always said it.
Man, I crushed
Since
donuts.
day one.
I crushed donuts.
I came out of the
really
womb
do.
going, Kirk, Donut King.
No, but you go to Shortstop Donuts, get a maple walnut and brown butter. Also, Hector's Deli do an unbelievable donut as well. Have you guys tried a Hector's Deli donut?
No.
Oh, man. You have
donut,
not.
but their sandwich was
When'd you go?
Every time I'm in Melbourne, I think I get
Yeah. No, I'm putting the feels out to try and get them on the podcast.
The old decky.
But anyway, back to the podcast subject matter. So, what are some of the challenges you faced in creating eco-friendly packaging? Because, like, one, I guess, like the integrity. Because it's like, you know, how can we believe people when, you know, there's been a lot of misleading stuff out there, and you kind of find out years later, oh, that wasn't that good. So, is there challenges in production, challenges in convincing people? What?
I think you've sort of summed it up. It's for us. It's the hardest part is the nonsense in the industry and the loose terms that are throwing around in the greenwashing. That's the hardest thing to navigate through. And Eco Barista, like we don't do like outward marketing. Like that's not how we get leads, call it. It's all word of mouth, and that all comes down to relationships, right? So we've worked really hard to build strong, transparent, honest relationships. That's fundamentally the most important thing. And it applies to roasters as well. So we work really hard on that. And it's tough because every now and then another supplier might just slide into their DMs and just be like, hey, we've got biodegradable packaging for you. And it's just like, oh, okay, well, first of all, biodegradable. Fuck that term. But the other thing, like it doesn't mean anything, right? Like compostable is certified. It is a science. Biodegradable means it'll break down into smaller pieces and there's no sort of body around it. It's loose and it shouldn't be used. Compostable and recyclable are like the two sort of like end of life.
So the call out is saying if you say something says biodegradable, that's kind of like a cheat term for people to sound like they're eco-friendly. Is that the takeaway?
Yeah, we used to do it back a while back, and we should have all of our stuff should be no mention of biodegradable now because it's just absolute nonsense the more we learn about it. So I'm not saying we haven't been a victim to this, but yes, right now, if you hear the word biodegradable, ignore.
But also that change, like, you know, nothing is set in stone. Every business needs to be like, hey, we did this before and we learnt from it, so we changed to this. There's always got to be room for that knowledge and evolution.
Exactly. But your intention and your passion should lie with like evolving and moving in that direction. So yeah, we definitely said biodegradable on some things, but right now our focus on is compostable. I've forgotten how I got onto this tangent. Oh, just navigating through the space. Like if people are just throwing these terms, like... And I don't know. It's really tough because I can't control what's being said by other
South
suppliers.
African came out there. The South African came out there. I thought that was Kirk the barista for a second chiming in.
Well, there's a like unfortunate side to trying to be more eco-friendly. That is like it kind of costs a little bit more. So when you're working with clients, like and this is probably a good lesson for other people in business, like convincing people to pay more things.
I don't. I'm telling you now, I've never convinced someone to move in a direction on any packaging. If it's completely unsustainable, sure, I'll give them some suggestions. But if they're saying to me, I've got so plastic, I wouldn't say, hey guys, do you want to move to compostable? It's more like that will never come from me or anyone at the team. It's you kind of need to want it yourself, and we will help facilitate that. But we would never push anything on anyone. For us, it's just about helping like the roasters achieve what they're trying to achieve. So yeah, compostable packaging is more expensive, but everyone that's using our compostable packaging has inherently wanted to do it themselves, and we've helped them do that, if that makes sense.
Okay, so let's do a little role play, all right? Hey, don't look at me like that.
Yeah, boy.
We'll do a little role play. You're you. I'm some cafe owner. I'm using another bag, whatever it is, just some generic thing off the shelf. You're coming in. What are you telling me about Eco Barista and why I should give a damn and change over?
Well, first thing I'll be like is, do you like your packaging? And that, I guess that's the start of the question, right?
I haven't really thought about it. It's a bag. I put my coffee in the bag. It's a bag.
But assuming it's a no, because otherwise they wouldn't be in front of us, right? Like something is already...
Oh, so you're not just chatting like these people, it's all incoming.
Sometimes if I'm like, and there'll be a few roasters that are listening that have got annoying emails from me, for sure.
You're like, I better cover this off because there'll be some people out there going, oh, no, you've reached out.
Here is 7 unreplied emails from Russ, for sure. But those emails are never like, do this.
Are you happy?
Yeah, it's just like, we would love to work with you because we think you're making the coffee industry better, and your growth and the things that you learn and the things you're aspiring for are more than gold to us, because we want to build products around that. And it's like, join us, be part of this almost like community, because working with you allows us to sort of better our products. That's kind of what we truly, like, those are the DMs I'm sliding with,
Well, you actually said to me before the show, you said after this pod, the first big roaster that you've reached out to that actually calls you, you're going to give them 5 years worth of free packaging.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, that's what was, that was it, right?
Yeah, no, spot on, verbatim.
You're going to get a lot of emails like, wait, where's my free packaging?
Yeah. No, we'll just say you were just, unfortunately, what was it, like the 9th caller? You were the 10th caller.
Yeah, sorry, you were the 10th caller.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to chronicle your journey with Kirk and Project Zero and see how the process goes with the transition of new branding. Where does that start and what does that look like?
I guess it starts with us. So we, I don't know if Johan really wants me doing this, but I'm just going to do it anyway.
Take that, Johan.
But
who's Johan for those listening that don't know?
My business partner.
Of what?
Project Zero Coffee.
Oh, okay.
Which can be found at 140 King Street, Melbourne.
Oh, beautiful.
So yeah, we're kind of in the process of we're going to do some, rebranding exercise and, spending a lot of money on that, a lot of time. And I think it's going to, if you could, Russ, just show that to the camera, like that's kind of what one of our coffee bags looks like now. It's going to look radically different in, a few months' time.
I've seen some samples and it's vooey.
Hey, I'll actually have to show you. Yeah,
oh, yeah.
So,
we should do a live reaction on the pod where no one can see it. Just whip it up. Yeah, pull it up.
All right. Well, this is some concept art. But
while you pull that up, I'll also bring up, I love that I've had a Chewbacca mug the entire time on this podcast and no one has pulled me up once on it. Thank you.
Kirk, I've actually got a story for you.
So,
on the way here on the Uber, a little gander at Amazon.
What are you doing on Amazon?
Got you a little Darth Vader ceramic mug.
After his Darth Vader keep cup got stolen.
Yep. It resonated me during the turbulence. I was listening to the pod where you mentioned that you lost it.
Oh my God.
What a sweetheart.
And there's a Bee Gees, I think it's a song or an album called How to Mend a Broken Heart. And you've just cracked the code.
Oh my God.
That is beautiful.
That's solid. I like that. Anyway, so that's going to be our new logo, our new little...
Fucking hot.
All right, so I won't elaborate too much on that, but let's just see, what else can I pick up here?
Can you give us like a general kind
it's
of...
vibing.
No,
it's fucking...
You can't give away anything.
No,
we're just looking at like logos here.
Is that doable?
It's doable.
Oh, they're so sexy.
Okay. It looks pretty...
it's going to like radically transform your brand. Like you are going to...
I'm just going to take my headphones off briefly and take the phone over to Liam so he can see.
Yeah.
No, that's a good looking bag.
Like all of it, all of the things that are going up. That I want to turn those bags into like street posters.
Oh my gosh.
They're
Can you do
so
that?
cool.
That would be sick.
Yeah, no.
And you have like street
that is
posters
special.
going down your laneway of just like that design.
Hopefully.
We'll just do it.
That would be wild.
Well, yes, we are. I mean, street posters. I mean, I'd love to get my propaganda all over the joint, but that's the start of the journey to answer your question.
Totally
Oh my
possible.
God.
And looks unreal.
And can it be sustainable?
Yeah.
Because it needs to look like that. But I'll think of that and I'm like, oh, damn, can I make that eco-friendly?
100% can. I won't say how it can because it'll give away, but like it definitely can.
Okay.
And then I'm sure as we move along through the journey of this pod, we'll get into the depth of it.
I actually got some Stitch coffee the other day, which you do the bags for as well.
Yeah.
Sexy.
Yeah.
So it can be sexy and like eco-friendly.
Yeah. Good example of using a bag as a blank canvas and really like looking at individual components and be like, can we move this? Can we change this? This would be better for us. Can we do this? And obviously with Stitch, we could, and it's a good looking bag. But yeah, that's the same pathway.
And the coffee tasted good, conveniently enough. So
Experience, right? Like this is the thing. I think one of the things with storage canisters, which the reason that maybe hasn't had such a massive uptake is I think when you have people over and you've got your coffee machine out on display, it's nice to sort of show which roastery you sort of use. You know, it's kind of like I like these guys. You know, it's sort of identity sort of showing in that way. And I think if you sort of hiding it by putting it into like a storage canister, it's less appealing, right? So, I mean, spoiler alert, but like we're going to be doing some like branded storage canisters that allow sort of your brands to sort of prevail on like when you're keeping them for like home brewers and still having
with like compostable bags.
Exactly.
And that kind of thing. Okay.
Exactly. So really, I think the exciting thing about the industry is kind of like how, you know, detergent companies right now are really looking at how they do things like, you know, shout out to Thank You who do like you buy the bottle, but then you buy the refills. I think coffee will follow a natural path like that. So, you know, if it's a coffee subscription, you'll buy coffee, it'll come with a storage canister. And then, you know, for the next few weeks afterwards, it'll come in like really like chilled packaging, or sorry, not chilled, but like a really sustainable packaging that doesn't need to hold up over a long period of time because it can just be decanted straight away. And then hopefully that storage canister will be branded so that even though you're decanting it, you're still being like, yeah, I drink.
Now, this pod is going to come out after Halloween, but we've been doing a little segment called the Hospo Horror Stories. I bring up the Halloween just because Liam, look at him. He's just giggling over there like a little chat. He's just a funny little man.
He's just a little
etch boy. He's put together a little tunal intro for it that he loves. So do you have a Hospo Horror Story for us? Play the tune, baby.
Hospo Horror Stories.
We've
a
got
little bit over the
Molly
top.
over the top. Just is that the first time you've heard Hospo Horror Stories? Yeah. What'd you think? She said it's a bit much. No, she said
we haven't even heard the horror story yet.
Okay, so do I jump in with it?
Yeah, hit it.
Okay. So when I was like studying, I had a job as a bartender, but I started off as just a glassy / ice guy. But then one night they were like, okay, we're going to give you the first shift to start making drinks. Like, cool. And then they taught me how to make a mojito. So whenever there was be like a mojito order, they were like, Russ, come make the mojito. And I don't know if it's still a thing, but like this cocktail bar was really dark. Like you can't see anything. And anyway, I'm cutting the limes. I'm running on adrenaline. I'm building the mojito. And then like I'm serving the mojito. I'm feeling really good about myself. I've charged. She's taken it away. And then they go, Russ, we just grab some more ice. And that cool room's well lit. And I go in there and I've just got blood like all over my hand, like profusely bleeding. And it's at that point I was like, oh yeah, cutting the limes.
As soon as you said cutting limes, I just got shivers.
Yeah. So first thought is like, okay, I'll refill the ice. But, you know, next thought was like, I'll go just suss out that mojito I made. Did have a rose tinge to it.
Strawberry mojito.
New drink. Halloween special, right? Like bloody
Dracula mojito.
Oh,
I will say this. She came back for a second.
Oh no.
Mojito.
She might have been a bit iron deficient, you know, got a little extra.
Feeling
Or
really
a vampire, with the
Yeah.
Halloween Hospo Horror Story.
So not proud of that.
I got chills. They're multiplying.
It's funny, you're cutting lime though, surely like a little slice and then some lime juice up in there. You would have been like,
I was running on adrenaline, right? So like,
Yeah.
but then afterwards, the citrus and like the acid into the cut, like
Yeah.
I knew about it in a big way. But I did not.
You reminded me of a bit of an incident I had. I almost lost this thumb building a fence with my dad in some farmland outside of Ballarat. And I was driving a post into the ground, and then I got my hand caught between the driver and the post. And initially I thought, oh, geez, that really hurt. And then I just saw this blood just flowing down my arm. I was like, oh, this doesn't look good. Took it off. My thumb's hanging. And yeah. And
Have you got scars? Is it like?
Yeah, check that out.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's some like.
it's the
Regenerative-
shape of a star post. Yeah,
Oh my God. Yeah, unreal.
Yeah.
Branded.
Ouchie.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my hot farming horror story.
Has anyone else had that thing where like, I mean, I'm clearly a boomer and like old here, but like the older I get, the less I can handle like injury stories or like those, like back when I was a kid, you'd watch Jackass and they're doing the dumbest stuff ever. And you were like, oh yeah, that's funny. Now, if I see anything like that, I just get like cold sweats and chills and like can't handle it.
My girlfriend studies dentistry, and in their third year in school, they're removing teeth and performing procedures and all sorts of things. And the stuff she shows and tells me, I'm like, God damn.
Yeah.
Do you watch UFC? I feel like you mentioned.
I love UFC.
Did you watch the Robert Whittaker?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that
was
made
tough.
me nearly faint.
That was tough.
That was not a fan.
What was the result for that, actually?
Oh,
Comes out
it was terrible.
yeah,
Terrible.
in a big way. He like broke Robert's jaw at the same time.
Like, pretty much compressed his teeth backwards. And then, Max Holloway
I better get the girlfriend on it.
then Max Holloway got defeated as well, which wasn't unexpected, but, you never love saying that. We love Max Holloway.
Damn.
But I suppose all those are getting me
Mate,
kind of...
I feel like a little sick, like hearing about
I'm
the
getting
line.
hot and bothered, to be honest.
I think it's probably time for a
Extra hot take with 2 sugars.
Now, I know we talked about in the last episode that we wanted the more riffy one.
bad.
Spoiler alert, we recorded that an hour ago, so we haven't updated it. The guitar riff's good, but not to put more work on your plate. I do want an original. That sounds a bit too like soundboard guitar riff for me. I need something that's like got either Kirk and I or yourself or whoever and doing like a bit of it's a hot take or something like that.
Motherfucker.
No, we're not going into death metal.
I got a bit excited there.
I push my coffee into my... Sorry, Slipknot. Yes, hot takes. Well, should we, it's you let the guest go first. You open the door, you let them walk through.
But you know how to do your hot take. So down the barrel, tell us what your hot take is.
Kind of already touched on it, but we'll do it again. Coffee bags do not need gas valves.
All right.
Now, disclaimer, only really dark roasts, maybe you might have some poppin' bags, but
Why's that?
just because it's released so much gas and it's been heat sealed that we might have some exploding balloons. But even then, that's a bit of fun. You know what I mean? That's an more experience.
I mean, you just make it branding. Just call it poppin' coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This roast will pop off.
It's going to give you so much energy, it might explode.
Oh, there you go. I mean, so back to my hot take. Bags do not need gas valves. Yeah, done. No disclaimer. Boom.
Yeah. And what's great about this when we cut into the reel, now we've got like 2 takes of this that we can just like chop and choose and make the best reel of all time. But yeah, disclaimer for the people who don't know, dark roasts, when you roast them longer, become more porous, more CO2 escapes from them. It escapes faster as well. Lighter roasts, less CO2 coming up. So the reason you have gas valves is so that the bag doesn't expand and explode. But with lighter roasts, it probably won't explode. You just get a little puffy bag. You just get a little cuddly bag. Oh, you could maybe do like a bag design, put like little animal eyes on it. So they're like little fluffy, puffy little bag things and they blow up.
Turn it into a pillow.
Oh, Big Hero 6.
Best Pixar film ever.
Yeah. Yeah, top 5 for sure. All right. Well, we can jump to me. Kind of in a similar world here. Let's see if there's any debating in here. But like, supermarket coffee can't be good. Now,
Major shots at some roast this year.
supermarket coffee cannot be good because they don't have the roast date a lot of the time. They're going to have a best before date because technically coffee doesn't, even though it gets old and stale and tastes like crap, it's not necessarily going off. So the coffee can sit on the shelf for up to a year. I was just in a supermarket and some of the coffee on there was roasted over a year and a half ago on the shelves. you can't make good coffee out of that. Once it's past that certain prime date, it's impossible to make a good coffee out of it. I will say there are other companies where it's like maybe there's better supermarkets where they move through stuff quickly or they keep the shelves updated, and you should check those roast dates to make sure that you know what you're doing. But all in all, it's going to be a lot harder to try to make that high quality cup when you're using supermarket coffee.
Fair point. I mean, the tough thing there, like to be on the roaster side, is like the pressure that like, you know, Coles or Woolworths might put on the roasteries in terms of price, volume, delivery, turnaround. I know that like one of the roasters we work with, like Coles would like give them a scorecard on how the pallets were packed, and then say like that's strike one, and then you lose that account because you've made too many mistakes. So it's hard work, but of course, yeah, if it's sitting on the shelf for so long, you've got pretty stale coffee.
And I will say, use whatever, if it's accessibility, if it's about people getting it and there's the option, that's fine. That's all well and good. But just from a quality standpoint, it is harder to keep that level of quality when you're working with a fresh product.
Buy directly. The only solution, buy directly. Go to your roaster, go to your cafe, buy directly. So much better.
But when using great packaging, you can extend the...
Thank you. Unreal. I'll just do this. And if you can just say that audio.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just mime it out here. Kirk. You're looking a little flustered over there. You're looking a little steamy under the collar.
Yeah, look, I've got an extra hot take with 2 sugars. That's probably a little bit different to both of yours that you've just elaborated on, but
you'd hope so.
Here we go. My extra hot take with 2 sugars is batch brew tastes best when you refresh it every 3 hours. I like that one because we need to, I think, you know, what are the biggest mistakes that people make when making batch brew or filter coffee in Melbourne is that 1, they leave it sitting in the pot for too long, and 2, they often don't clean those pots. You know, cleaning the pots is like, keeping anything clean with making coffee is probably one of the biggest hacks you can do to make your coffee taste better, but clean your goddamn batch brew pots and refresh it at least every 3 hours.
And you can tell when you taste it and say, oh my God, I got the oldie batch.
Yeah.
This is no good.
Tastes like just coffee soup.
Now, is there any world for innovation there that because what's happening there, you will know more of this from the scientific level of it. What's happening in that pot? Is it just the oxidization over time?
I don't even know.
Because I was going to say, is there like some kind of technology that we could develop to like keep it fresher within that pot by reducing oxidization?
Because if you're keeping so there's still dissolved solids in a batch brew, right? So it's we brew it to about 1.4%, 1.3 to 1.4% total dissolved solids in the brew. And if it stays that hot, is it still cooking or extracting in there? Like, yeah, I mean, I don't understand the science for it. Maybe we should get someone on to better explain this to us. But it always, suffice to say, it always tastes better fresh. Yeah. Keep refreshing it. Clean the goddamn pots. I mean, I don't think we need to explain that one. And just serve better quality batch brew.
For my mocha master, you'd be horrified.
Well, how we do it at the shop is we get a bit of Cafetto, which is like the espresso machine cleaner, and we actually fill the pot up with hot water. So put the batch brew cycle on. So fill it to the top, and then leave it like that overnight. And then sort of empty the water, give it a rinse in the morning, and they still look brand new on the inside. Well, guys, what a pod. What a time. Thank you for flying down just to see us. You're such a gentleman and a scholar. If people are interested in Eco Barista, where can they find you?
Instagram, website. I mean, it's a nimble team, but you'll definitely find one of us just by whatever contact form we've got on there. And
if you want samples, don't contact you. Just come and buy some of either my or Kirk's coffee, and that's a sample right there that you can see the quality product 100% in your own hands.
And I will be soppy. I will say thank you, boys. Like, I really appreciate you both supporting Eco Barista. It's a huge help, and like that's what makes me so thrilled to be part of this industry.
Made my life pretty easy, actually. I can just click on an app, order my stuff. I know that it's packing fresh and somewhat good for the environment. So thank you. And you've been great to us right from when we started, kind of from nothing and tried to build ourselves up there. So you've been there right from day one with us. We love working with you. Loved having you on the pod. It's been a great relationship. So make sure to check out Eco Barista if you're interested in them. And if you're interested in us, me and my little friend Kirk over here, then you can send us a line at hello@itsjustcoffeepod.com. You can hit us up on the socials. We want to hear from you. It's been really nice in the past couple months getting some feedback, some messages from some of you. And we say it each week. If you're enjoying the pod, tell a friend. Tell 2 friends. Tell 2 friends.
Tell 3 friends.
if you feel like it. But yeah, I couldn't have said it better. Rowan hit the nail right on the head there. It's a pleasure to be able to do this and a privilege to be able to do this podcast, and we want to keep it going and grow it in a way into a bigger community. So thank you again.
And as a little sizzle, if you're wanting to listen to Coffee Break coming on, where we review the latest episode and chat about all things that are happening in our lives, Molly is going to make us her instant coffee concoction.
Frappe
mixy thing with instant coffee that she makes. Rather than drinking golden brown coffee, it's a outstanding what do you say? Like
concoction?
No. It's a great shout out to our brand when one of our employees is using Macona and sugar and making like a frappe thing in the corner. But I've got to find out what it's like. I got to taste it and I got to know, is this better than golden brown coffee? So that'll be coming up on the next Coffee Break. Hey, thanks for coming down and being on the pod.
Thanks for having me.
And as always,
it's just coffee.
Wait. I'm sorry.
Russ.
We're not Russ, mate. And as always,
it's just coffee.